Life. Life is a set of challenges, problems, and hassles. We sometimes imagine that if we could just deal with the immediate challenge that we are facing, all our problems would be over. But life is not like that. If we resolve one problem, others are just around the corner. The temptation is to see these challenges as preventing us from carrying out the ministry God has given us. In actual fact, dealing with the problems is the ministry. The Bible is true to life. The psalmist faced pain and distress. Paul faced false accusation and the frustration of being kept in prison on trumped-up charges. The kings in the Old Testament faced battles and a massive building project challenge. Be reminded that the relatively minor challenges, problems, and hassles that you face are nothing compared to what the people of God have faced in the past and still face around the world today. So when you are confronted with these challenges, understand that you are not alone. God never leaves his people who diligently seek him. So do the following as you confront challenges in life. 1. Talk to God about the problems. Psalm 145 verses 18 and 19. The Lord is near to all who call on him, to all who call on him in truth. He fulfills the desire of those who fear him. He also hears their cry and saves them. Are you in the time of testing? God sometimes allows us to be tested, as he allows his people to be tested by the waters of Meribah. Psalm 81 verse 7. But he does not want you to face the tests and challenges of life alone. You can talk to him about your problems. God says, I removed the burden from their shoulders. In your distress, you called, and I rescued you. Or as the message puts it, I took the world off your shoulders, freed you from a life of hard labor. You called to me in your pain. I got you out of a bad place. Psalm 81 verses 6 and 7. We are reminded of the importance and power of prayer. Whatever situations or difficulties you may face, you can bring them to God in prayer. God removed their burdens and rescued them in their distress. Therefore, let us then with confidence draw near to the throne of grace, that we may receive mercy and find grace to help in time of need. Hebrews 4:16. 2. Trust that God is in control. Faith means trusting God. Faith is the art of holding on to things your reason has once accepted, in spite of your changing moods. It is hard to trust God when everything seems to be going wrong. Luke records Paul's trials in a very objective and unemotional way. This must have been an extraordinary, frustrating time for Paul. This great leader of the church, evangelist, and teacher is locked away, apparently unable to exercise the ministry to which he has been called by God. He is in custody, enduring the physical constraints and discomforts of prison, such as poor diet and lack of hygiene. One of the biggest obstacles to faith is the suffering of the innocent. It is usually one of the first questions raised in an alpha small group. If there is a God who loves us, how come there is so much suffering in the world? How come there is such injustice and oppression? Why are there so many disasters and such turmoil in the world? Why is there so much evil? These are very important and necessary questions, but there are no easy answers. Yet God is able to meet us in the midst of suffering and struggles. Extraordinarily, it is often the people who have gone through the greatest sufferings who have the strongest faith. They testify to the presence of God with them, strengthening and comforting them in the midst of their pain. Faith involves trusting the Lord. The people of God in the Bible looked out on a world of suffering, but they trusted in the Lord despite what they saw. We are told in scripture that we are not to lose hope in times of trial. We are to have faith and trust that God has everything under control. To have true faith, you must take God at his word. In 2 Corinthians 4 verse 18, we read that we look to things that are not seen. For the things that are seen are transient, but the things that are unseen are eternal. Why is that so hard to do when we face pain and struggles that seem to crush our hearts? The eye of God never leaves you for an instant. Even Job understood this truth. He never doubted that God was with him. He just couldn't understand why God was allowing him to suffer. He got to the point where he wished he was never born. I must admit that there were times I felt like Job, but I refused to give up. God has shown me love and mercy when I didn't deserve it. Surrendering to the lies of the enemy was never an option. Christ has promised the crown of life to those who remain steadfast under trial. The disciple James tells us in verse 1 of his letter, "Count it all joy, my brothers, when you meet trials of various kinds, for you know that the testing of your faith produces steadfastness, that you may be perfect and complete, lacking in nothing." Now, joy might not be easy for you to consider in your times of pain, but by faith, you must trust that God has a purpose for it, and that He has promised to use all things for your good according to His purpose for you. To believe anything less is to believe the lie of an enemy who wants you to give up. My friends, the days are growing shorter, and the attacks from the devil will increase. You may be facing unbearable pain and suffering now, but my prayer is that you will hold on in hope. Every pain and hardship is bringing you deeper into the knowledge of Christ. He is revealing more of Himself to you. The power that raised Christ from the dead and that calmed the sea is living in the heart of every believer. He knows what He is doing, even when you don't understand His ways. He will never abandon you in your heartache. He is close enough to you to see your tears. He keeps them in a bottle that is next to His heart. You are never alone to fight your battles when you belong to Christ. Most importantly, you can't be destroyed by your pain, no matter how hurtful it seems now. Can you wait on Christ? Will you trust Him to the end? No matter how big your problems are, they cannot stop the future for which Christ died to give you. Your pain will not last forever. His love for you will not fail. Ask God to give you the strength you need to trust Him with all that comes against you. He is faithful to guide you to the end. That is a promise. Grace, and stay blessed.